Good evening, all the teachers. How many of you are from previous session? May I know how many of them are connected from the previous session? How many have are been following me every week? Okay, Radha Pavitran, good. Good evening, sir. One session. Sharon Tokas. Okay. So good to see all of you again. And what is today's session about? Today's session is about activities. What are the different types of activities that we can do to engage the class? Correct. So what do all of you do when you are given a substitution class? If any substitution class is assigned to you, or if you are told to just go and sit into the class for just free time, okay, you don't have anything to teach, but still they tell you to sit in the class. So what do you do at such time? Do you get bored? Most of us, we get blank. We think, what to do? What shall I do now? Why did they give me an extra class? So all of us generally are in that mindset because we don't want, if some teacher is absent, we feel that why is the teacher absent? Why is this class given to me? Correct. So all of us have that kind of fear, most of the people. So there are certain activities, there are certain things that you can make your students to do in the class whenever you have a free class to make the student strong in your subject. So what are those kind of activities that you can do to engage the class? So let me just start. Okay, after that, at the end of the session, I will discuss about each subject. What are the different kind of activities that you can do subject wise for different subjects? Let's discuss that together. Okay, all of you will give your ideas to me at the end of the class. That's why I want each one of you to pay attention and listen to everything and tell me at the end what you can implement in your subject. Clear? Got it? Is everybody sleeping today? I don't get yes, no, anything. So I want all of you to reply to my question.
Yes, sir, we are there.
Okay. Somebody is at the end of the session. I will allow people to on their microphones. You can just talk and you can ask me. For now, I will just mute everybody. Okay. So yes. So these are the different activities that we can do. I'm just sharing the slide. Yes. So these are the different activities that we can use to engage the class. Now, engagement is very important. See, until I interact with you, until I ask you questions, or until I give you activities to do, until then the class becomes actually sleepy. Because what happens? Students are attending the class for entire 8 hours, 9 hours, correct? For entire day they are in the school. So they stay in the school for such a long time sitting at one place. If I tell you to sit in one place for such a long time, do you think you will be alert? Do you think you can actually stay awake? Do you think it is possible for somebody to pay attention? So that's why it becomes very important for us to engage the class, to bring some kind of activities, to do some kind of work for the students. Correct? So it shouldn't be a one-way communication. Generally, what happens? Every class is one-way communication. Just the teacher is teaching to the students, and students are always listening. So that makes the class boring. And let me tell you one thing what I do. Every 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I have made it a rule for me. Whenever I'm teaching, every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I want to make students to do some kind of movement. This is very important. Then the students will not be able to sleep. Generally, my rule is 5 minutes. I just teach for 5 minutes, then make the students to either tell yes, sir. I ask them some open ended question, or I ask them some kind of questions that every student will open their mouth and answer. Or what I do, I make them to do some kind of body movement. Just raise your hand. How many of you feel this is the case? So, such questions I ask them. Raise your hand or any kind of movement. I make them to visualize physics. You, all of you, just see the car is going down the road. How is the car going down the road? So all the students will show me. I ask them, show me how is the car going. Then they will show down. So that way, I make the class, all the students, to use their hands. It is not just me who is interacting. It's not just me who is using my body language. Always, the students also must use their bodies. They must use their mouth. So we should make all the parts of a student body to stay engaged. Correct? They should use their hand, they should use their eyes, they should use their ears, they should use their mouth, they should use all kinds of movement in the class, right? So this is what becomes very important, which most of the people know. These are again the things that I'm going to tell that most of us know, but we fail to implement them. We fail to use them. That's why it becomes very important to attend such sessions so that you keep reminding yourself how we need to go on. Okay. So next, what are the activities? So again, this theory part, whatever is given in the slide, I will just be skipping most of the things because these are the things which you can read on your own. And again, on the YouTube, I will be uploading the video. You can just see the slides on YouTube, or you can take a screenshot right now. So this is the case. Okay, so classroom engagement activities are very important. Correct. Classroom engagement activities are very important because they make learning interactive. Learning has to be interactive. It shouldn't be one way and enjoyable. They enhance the communication, understanding, and also make the students increase the students' retention. Nowadays, all of you know the retention of students has decreased very much. Just 1 minute reels. People are engaged too much in just 1 minute. They want content to change every minute. And your class is monotonous. Entire class is same. Then how will the students pay attention? They want change. Every 5 minutes, they want something. Correct. So try to bring some kind of engagement every 5 minutes. Correct. So next, they encourage collaboration, critical thinking, because teaching is not just that you are teaching and you are going back. You should be able to make the students use their mind. So make them to think critically. That becomes again very, very important. And creativity of the students, that will make their academic scores to actually improve a lot. So let me start with the activities. So first, what you can do is some things are mind maps. Mind maps are very, very, very good concept. What you can do after you have taught a chapter to the students, you can tell them to make a kind of mind map. You can tell them to do it on their own. Correct? So you can tell them to write the entire chapter, or you can give them like a test. Not a test actually. You can just tell them like an activity that all of you create some beautiful mind map and give it to me. So just some 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the class, you can tell them whatever you learned in this chapter, everything in the form of one tree diagram. What is the concept? For example, I'm teaching motion in physics. So what is motion? Who discovered motion? Or gravity? Who discovered gravity? Why did he discover gravity? Where did he discover it? How? When? So all these questions should be answered in that mind map. So such way you can try to make the students to create beautiful mind maps. And when they draw, when they try to make it beautiful, when they try to decorate it, that stays in their head. Correct? So this is one kind of beautiful activity that we can do. Mind maps are really very, very important. So this plays a very important role. Next, other type of activity we can do is debates on any topic that you are teaching. Any topic it can be, just conduct a debate on it in the class. Just divide the class in two groups and ask the people to answer it like a debate. Correct? So that becomes very important. These things are done in competitions in schools. Schools do debate on some topic. Why not? We use this to teach our subject. Why not conduct a small debate in the class sometimes on our topic, on the chapter that you're teaching? Why not conduct debate on it? Correct? So that makes the class actually very interesting and engaging. So mind maps, debates, then what else can we do? Then we can also do group projects. Sometimes in the class, we can divide the class into groups and we can give them some kind of activity to do, like a project in the class. So if you are given a free class, what will you do? If the school assigns you, go and sit in the class and engage the students. You don't have anything to teach. Just go to the class, tell the students that divide in 5 groups. Even the students will not get frustrated. Sometimes what happens, if you take an extra class, students will tell you that, ma'am, please don't take this class. We don't have a period. Your portion is completed. Students will request you so much. But if you make them to do such activities, like group projects, like debates, or such kind of games, then students will be very interested. Correct? So divide the students in groups and tell them silently without making any noise, all of you must come up with some kind of any project or any activity you can give them. Together, all of you work and find this answer and present it in a beautiful way, like a project. Correct? Or you can tell them to find any answer from the book, something unique, creative. Correct? So try to give such kind of group projects. That becomes again very interesting for the students. Next is interactive role playing. I think I skipped one. Yes, interactive quizzes. So interactive quizzes is also a very important thing. You can divide the class into 2 groups and you can play a quiz competition. The student who's getting the most marks in the quiz, the team which is winning, you can ask questions from the portion. That is one best way to engage the class. Correct? So again, what I want to tell all of you is don't just use one activity from here. I have given a list of more than 20 activities. Almost 20 activities I have given. And if you are just using quiz, most of the teachers, what they do, whenever they have free, they will play quiz. No, always try to change. Always mix and match the activities. Sometimes conduct quiz. Sometimes make students to draw mind maps. Sometimes make them to do group projects in the class. These are the things you must use. Mix and match of all the things. Next is role playing. This is also very, very, very good thing. What I do, I tell a student, for example, in physics, I tell a student you are electron. I make a student as electron and I make the student to bring. I call the student friend and I tell you are an electron. What do you have around you? Then the student will tell I have electric field around me. Or I tell you are a positive charge. What do you have around you? You have a electric field around you. Positive charge attracts negative charge. So that way I make a student into something. Then I tell the student, move across the class. When you are moving across the class, you have a magnetic field around you. So most of the teachers are not physics. Don't think what rubbish am I talking. I'm just telling that electron has electric field around it. When it is moving, it produces magnetic field. So to understand this concept, I make a student into electron. I tell what is your name? Your name is not Rohan. Your name is electron. And right now you have this around you. So I make the student character of the lesson. It can be a car. I tell that you are a car. You move across the car or class. Right now you are moving with this velocity. Anything, any chapter, if you have an English lesson, make a student the character of the story. That will make the story to sit in their head forever. In social, if you have two kings fighting, you are this king, you are that king. You won over him. You captured his boundary. That way, if you divide the class such way, and if you give them roles, different roles in the class, and if you try to give each person a character, they get involved in the story, and that makes them very much interested and never forget the concept. So this is also a very good activity you can do. Next, class discussion. Open-ended questions. All of you should ask open-ended questions. Like I asked you, what all activities can we do? Give me some idea. That's an open-ended question. Anybody can answer, correct? So we should ask some open-ended questions. That will make the class very much interested. So you can tell the students to ask you questions otherwise. So you can have such open-ended discussions, and this makes it very interesting. Next, peer teaching. This is again a very, very useful thing. You should assign each student to teach another student. This is again my favorite thing. What I do in the class, I make a strong student. I divide the class. For example, my class has 10 benches and there are 10 toppers in the class. 10 students are good enough. In each bench, I make an intelligent student to sit, and along with him, I make other students who are dull. Then I tell this intelligent student, it is your responsibility. By the end of this class, all these three students should remember this concept, and all the three students should get the same marks that you are getting. It is your responsibility to teach them this concept, particular concept, what they have not understood. That way, intelligent students teach the dull students. And sometimes the students can teach better than the teachers because what your friends teach you, you remember that. So I divide the class in such a way that one intelligent student teaches another dull student. And that way, it is intelligent student's responsibility to make the dull student to his level. So sometimes I do such activity, and that makes the intelligent student more intelligent and the dull student intelligent. Because when you teach, you become more intelligent, and when you are listening to somebody, your friend teaching you, you become intelligent. So, this is again very important, which most of us fail to do. We should allow the friends to teach each other, divide the class in such a way. I always follow this. Two things are my favorite. One is the role playing activities. I give each student a role in the class, a character in the class. When I teach physics, I give each person a name. You are electron, you are proton, or something like that. I make the proton stand in the middle and I tell electron to revolve around it. In chemistry, you can do that way. Or hydrogen, water reacts and form oxygen. You can show anything. So this is very, very important again. So these are different activities that I do. Quizzes, I am not a big fan of quiz, but sometimes I conduct quiz too. Next, we have hands-on experiments. Sometimes I take a battery, LED torch. If the concept, today my concept is to teach about LED. Now, not just physics. Again and again, I'm giving you physics examples because I teach physics. But when I teach biology, I also have taught biology and chemistry. So all subjects, you can use this in all the subjects. If you're teaching social, take something related to social and go. You can take a photo and you can tell the students, see, what is this all of you? Can you tell me what is this? Then students will think. Then you can ask them, which place is it located? Can you tell me? Then you can start teaching them. See, this is Taj Mahal. It is present in Agra. It was constructed by this person. When you show them the image first and tell them to guess, tell them to answer, then explain them what it is, it makes them more interested. So you can do some small experiments. You can show them some small models. You can bring something and show them. So everything doesn't require a laboratory, right? Do all experiments require laboratory? No, right? All of you have seen, I think, in YouTube nowadays, shorts are there in which teachers conduct some small activity or small experiment in their home. So there are so many household things which you can do experiments. Those can be done in the class. You can take a magnet in the class and go. Do you require a lab for that? So such experiments or such things should be bought in the class. In English, if you are teaching a topic, it is important for you that you are including the chapter, whatever is present in the chapter. For example, the chapter is about comb, magical comb. Take a comb to the class and go. Do you know this comb is magical? All students will ask, what? Is there something called magical comb? Then you will tell, let me tell the story about a magical comb. Then tell the story. If you're talking about cranes, show them image of a crane. Tell them about crane. Then tell them the poem about crane. So first, most important thing is show students models. Ask them questions. Engage them. So experiments become very important way to do that. The best way to do it. So peer teaching, I told you. I told you about hands-on experiments. And next thing that you can do is storytelling. My most favorite part. More than what I teach, my class is filled with story. Let me tell all of you. That is one reason why students never sleep in my class. Because I don't teach much. Rather, I tell stories more. Stories actually connect the students with the topic, related to the topic, whatever story it is. I try to research first. If Newton discovered gravity, how did he discover gravity? Most of the students know that Newton discovered gravity. But did gravity not exist before that? I tell them little about Newton. I tell them who Newton was, about his life, all beautiful incidents about Newton's life. Then I tell them Newton was great. He discovered gravity this way, that way. So stories are very important. Most of the teachers feel this is boring concept. Talking about scientists is boring. Correct. If I tell you to tell me about a scientist, about Newton, we think that it's such boring autobiography or biography of a person. But if you try to find interesting stories about their life and tell them that it is just like a story of your personal life. If I ask all of you, tell me about yourself, stories of your life, some incident that happened yesterday in your life, you will explain so nicely. Imagine that you are Newton. Imagine that you are the author. Imagine you are the scientist and tell the story by feeling the story. You should feel whatever happened with the author yourself. You should feel whatever happened in the person who wrote the chapter, whatever character is there. Shah Jahan, you should feel you are Shah Jahan who constructed Taj Mahal. You should be able to express the emotions that Shah Jahan might have had when he constructed the Taj Mahal. Why did he kill the people who constructed it? So when you tell it by feeling the story as if it is your own story, students will definitely not forget it. That is one way of telling the story. Next way of engaging the students is field trips. This is again, sometimes you can arrange field trips. This school does. Most of the schools take students for field trips. But when you take the students for field trip, you can tell them about what the chapter is related. You should explain them properly, correct? Next is guest speakers. You can invite some guest speakers to the school. All these are again activities which school has to do, but agreed. Guest speakers, sometimes you can invite some person to speak on the topic. It can be your own school teacher. You don't have to call some great person because when other people speak, sometimes students will be more interested to listen to somebody new. Correct? So you can call your friends. Teachers have their friends. You can call your friends to take some engaging story session for the students. So that makes the students more interested. So I have written more than 5 books. Okay, so more than 5 books I have written. Do you know how I wrote them? Once upon a time, let me tell you a small story. Okay, how many of you are interested to listen story? If you are interested to listen story, only then I will tell. Otherwise, I will not tell. Just tell me yes in the chat. How many of you are telling yes? I will tell the story. Okay. So Radha Pavitran, Sharon Tokus, Vivos. All of you should just. What is this Vivo? If you keep your mobile phone name, I will call you by mobile phone name. What should I do? So let me tell you. Once in my college, when I was studying in my degree college, at that time during my degree years, what happened was we had inspection in our college. And when we had inspection in our college, some great teachers had come for inspection. So when they came for inspection, my teachers told me about those people. Some outside school teachers had come for inspection to my college because we were getting NAC accreditation. Okay, so our college was going to get NAC. So because of that, some teachers had come. That time I was in my degree. So my degree teacher told me that today, do you all know that such a great teacher came to our school? Then I asked my teacher, ma'am, why do you say that the person who came for inspection was great? What speciality did he have or she have in her? So then my teacher told that this lady who came for inspection, she had written so many books. She had written so many books. She had so many patents in her name. And that is when it hit in my mind that we measure success. My teacher feels that that lady is successful. She's a great person because she has written so many books. She has so many patents in her name. So we measure success on number of books. We measure success based on how many patents a person has. Immediately I went home that day and I decided that I need to write a book. 3 days. You will not believe me. 3 days. I didn't eat food. I didn't drink water. I closed the door of my house and I took my laptop and I kept typing. In 3 days, I had published my book without sleeping, without eating. Entire book I had written in 3 days. The book name is Footprints of Change. All of you can find it in Amazon. So it was just written in 3 days. And how did I get inspiration to write my first book? Because my teacher had bought some outsider had come to my school whom my teacher appreciated. Seeing that, I got inspired and I wrote my own book. So after that, I continued writing so many books and I have published remaining 4 more books. Now one more book is in process. So that way, students will get inspired to do something if you're calling somebody else. If they look at somebody outsider who has some kind of achievement, or if you appreciate, even if they have not achieved, who knows whether that person had written really books or not? Who knows whether that person really had patents? My teacher told me, I believed it, and I got inspired and I did it. Correct? So if all of you give example of somebody else, maybe your students will get inspired and they will do something good. So guest speakers become very important. That is why this guest speaker, what I told you, guest speaker plays a very important role. Or you can tell, if it is not possible for you to invite guest speakers, you can tell the story of some successful people, which will inspire the students. Art integration. Whatever you have taught in the chapter, you can try to integrate art. You can try to integrate art in it. Like KBC, you can conduct hot seat. You have seen KBC, right? You can ask students like KBC questions. And if you do that, that will entertain the students more. Make a student sit in front of you and ask them some questions just like KBC. You are going to get this reward. I will give you a chocolate if you answer this question. The student who is answering maximum questions will get a chocolate. So that way, the students, or you can make one student the head and other student to answer questions to them. Just like hot seat of KBC. Correct? Next. Next, what you can do is game-based learning. You can try to incorporate some games. All of you have seen there are so many games nowadays. If you go to Play Store, you will find so many online games related to the topic. If I'm teaching physics, there are so many ball games, bouncy ball or something which has physics in it. Car games. You can show them a car game in the class. In mobile phone, some car game. See, this car is racing. Make them also to play. You can make them to involve in any kind of games and tell them the physics behind it. That becomes again very interesting concept. Brainstorming. You can ask the students to give their ideas about a problem. Each student has to come up with a different idea. I will ask them a question. All of you should come up with different ideas. Next is case studies. You can give them some case studies to solve. So these are the different activities that you can do. So this is the end of the session. So let me tell you an example of one thing, brainstorming. How brainstorming is done. Correct? So now let's do brainstorming for us for this session. So brainstorming for this session will